Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It is 7:07. It's O'Connor and Company on the second day of 2026 and second day of January. Not uncoincidentally, thanks for joining us and letting us be a part of your morning. And thanks for being part of our conversation. Coming up in 30 minutes, Emily Sturge, reporter from Campus Reform, will be our guest. And then at 8:05, Nick Minock of WJLA ABC 7, covering Northern Virginia and the D.C. area like none other. It's Larry O'Connor with Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody.
Yeah, sure. Be Friday indeed. And joining us right now, be on your best behavior because she's kind of the boss of you. She's the CEO of Independent Women. That includes Independent Women's Forum, Independent Women's Network, Independent Women's Voice, and a lot of independent women around, and I love it. Heather Higgins, Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us.
Happy New Year and good morning.
Well, we discussed last time, and I want to get an update from you about your efforts to encourage Republicans in the Senate to do away with the filibuster. The president has joined that call. Take a listen to what he said just a month ago.
It's time for Republicans to do what they have to do, and that's terminate the filibuster. It's the only way you can do it. And if you don't terminate the filibuster, you'll be in bad shape. We won't pass any legislation. There'll be no legislation passed for 3.25. We have 3.25 years, so that's a long time. But when they can't do an extension, and John, I think they've done an extension every single time they've ever been asked forever. This is the first time they haven't done an extension. Extensions are supposed to be easy, but if they won't do an extension, they won't do any bill, even a simple bill.
That's true, and anybody who's looking at this first year of this Congress will point to the fact that not many bills got passed, and that's mostly because the Senate has held it up. The Senate Democrats have demanded roll call votes, locking down and slowing down the wheels of motion. So, Heather Higgins, critics will say that Republicans can't even get their cats herded enough to be able to pass anything with 50 votes, even if they do away with the filibuster. How's the effort right now, and how do you respond to critics who say this would be a bad idea?
Well, I would have agreed with them way back when, but given the statements that the Democrats have made, the critics want to contend that the filibuster is a good thing for Republicans should they be in the minority. But we also know that Chuck Schumer and others have been very explicit that should they ever have the votes, they're getting rid of the filibuster.
Yeah, they're going to do it anyway.
Yeah, they're going to do it anyway. So I think the analogy I used last time when I was on your show was it's a bit like going into a boxing match and your opponent has been very clear that they're coming with a knife, not just boxing gloves, and you're restricting yourself to boxing gloves. It's just, it's ludicrous. The more important thing is, I've talked to people who are really knowledgeable who think that what makes the Senate is that you need this supermajority to pass legislation. Well, no, actually, it still is that you pass legislation with a majority vote. The filibuster is something that was introduced in 1917 and has been increasingly abused to prevent the Senate being the world's greatest deliberative body.
Yeah.
So
I'm on your side on this. It's like either do it now and have a chance to pass some good things before the election, or lose the election in November and the Democrats will do it anyway. So
I think there are a lot of people in Washington who are perfectly happy losing because it's sort of a permanent way of life for them as opposed to a cause where they want to accomplish something that actually helps the country and make the big changes that are desperately needed. The one good thing that I've seen on the filibuster is at least Mike Lee has been excellent in explaining the zombie filibuster, which is so what people don't remember or don't know for the most part is that there are actually two filibusters, two motions to proceed. One is the one that everybody thinks about, which ends debate. And that's the one that he's talking about. And what he's talking about there is just go back to enforcing the original rules, which was you can't vote, you can't phone it in. You actually have to be there. You actually have to be on the floor. You actually have to be debating and, and using
make them do the Jimmy Stewart,
Make
Mr. Smith goes
work.
to Washington thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And but the other part that isn't addressed by that, but I would be happy to even start with his piece, is getting the motion to proceed to put legislation on the floor of the Senate in the first place, which is basically an incumbent protection racket, so that they don't have to take hard votes. And I feel so sorry for the Speaker because he and his members of the House work so hard to get legislation passed, and they do it and they send it to the Senate, and then everybody just sits on their hands and it never gets discussed or debated. So
yeah, exactly.
I do think
and then Heather. Well, and Republicans find themselves in the place of, okay, now you're supposed to be holding the keys to govern, and you're not governing based on what should be a majority, which they're really not able to get anything done with. I'd love to shift gears just a little bit and talk about health care, because obviously that's going to be one of the biggest challenges I think Republicans have, although they have solutions, as you wrote about for Real Clear Health a couple of right before the Christmas holiday. It's an Achilles heel for Republicans right now, but what can they do to turn their policy solutions into an actual advantage going into the midterms?
Yeah. So the easy and wrong answer is extending the subsidies for the small portion of people. I mean, it's not small to any of them as individuals, but as a percentage of the whole, the percentage of people who got the Obamacare COVID added supplements, right, which is what they're talking about extending. But as Kim Strassel has pointed out, that's basically then you own Obamacare, and its multiple failures. Far better would be to take advantage of legislation that is already in the Senate and pass it, which actually would codify a lot of what President Trump tried to get done his first term through executive orders, and which then Biden sat on or basically undid, never implemented, even facets of the Affordable Care Act that would have been good had they actually been implemented, like price transparency that's supposed to be there, but never was really done right. So you've got the Marshall-Hickenlooper Patients Deserve Price Tags Act, which is, most people don't think about this because we're so used to not seeing prices in healthcare. But part of the reason that healthcare has become so insanely unaffordable is that you don't actually have markets in healthcare. 90% of the transactions in healthcare should be things that patients and employers who buy plans should be able to see the prices of in advance. And because you can't, even in any given market, you'll find a 10x difference on the price of getting an MRI or a different procedure. It's just nutty. And the amount of money that gets wasted with the padding and the obscurantism that goes on there is nuts. So giving people real prices is the first thing, because that's the information they need. The second thing that they need is they need freedom. Patrice, you've done a lot of work on portability and portability of benefits. We should have portability in healthcare. Why should your healthcare be tied to your job and your state and their particular enrollment rooms? Why can't people have the security and control that comes with knowing that it goes with them? And the third piece that also goes to that control and security is giving people medical wallets. So the money doesn't go directly to the insurance company. It goes to you, and you get a wallet on your phone that is for all of your medical expenses, and you can see the prices, and you can decide where you're going to go spend it. If you wanted to, Laffer did a study, and the estimate was that you would drop costs across the board in healthcare by 40%. If you talk about wanting to make life more affordable for most people, it's not just, the price of the turkey and the price of the gasoline. It's the healthcare costs. That's one of the big nuts.
I love, Heather Higgins, that you call these wallets instead of health savings accounts. I think just sort of it makes people's eyes go blurry. People don't understand how they work, and they've lost the messaging on this. Can you stay with us? We've got to talk about healthcare more and more, and you've got so much laid out here in your article.
Sure.
Can you just hold for a minute? We have traffic here. It's terrible. 7:15 WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes. First on the 5, Jamie Whitten. I guess it's not that terrible, is it? In the Hidde Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center?
Actually, it's going to be a really quick update.
Heather Higgins continues with us. She's the CEO of Independent Women. She knows her policy stuff pretty well, actually. And She wrote an article recently, Real Clear Health, about what Republicans need to do. And you make the point. Democrats are going to run on health care, so Republicans can't pretend that ain't going to happen. It's been 15 years since Obamacare was passed. It's time to have a plan. Now, you're embracing Senator Crapo Cassidy's Health Care Freedom for Patients Act. Explain how these wallets would work, which is the better terminology for these health savings accounts. The government, first of all, is going to throw money in there. They're going to fund these things. And then are they able to use the money to buy care directly outside of an insurance plan?
So Crapo Cassidy doesn't do that yet. Crapo Cassidy is limited to whom it would apply. The people with the high deductible plans who are in the bronze level of Obamacare,
Gotcha.
who have the HSAs, right? What we're arguing is expand that. Why shouldn't Americans have on their phones a medical wallet? And the funding that comes in goes to them, not directly to the insurance companies. That is the argument that we are making. And we think that, and like Ovik Roy has done some great work, and others have too, on the real problem with a lot of our healthcare is third-party payers and not seeing the prices, and that inability to. And one of the things that's really sad is you've got so many conservative groups on the right who have bought the lie that this is about excessive regulation, et cetera. Well, you care about regulation when it's impeding the market from functioning. But if a regulation is to make a market happen, that's a very different animal where there is no market to begin with. Otherwise, you simply have got collusion. And I love Milton Friedman's quotation that, the first biggest problem is government, but the second biggest problem is large business that takes advantage of the rules to create a distorted system and work against markets and what markets can do. And that's really what we've got in spades now in healthcare. And if, I understand that Republicans have never been comfortable talking about healthcare, in part because I'm going to be very sexist here. It's a largely male party. And if you look at the data, when women go to the doctor, the average number of questions they ask is 6. The average number of questions a man will ask is, how many, Larry? Any guesses?
I'm not going to wade into this, Heather.
Okay, well, I will tell you. The answer is 0. Do you know how hard it is to get an average of 0?
Are we that bad?
Well, men believe that they're indestructible and they're going to live forever. So they don't tend to think about health care, and they think of that as something that their wife takes care of or somebody else has to deal with because it doesn't apply to them. You guys are immortal gods who are going to live forever, right? So it's just not within their lexicon. And when they talk about it the wrong way. When we had Obamacare first coming up, the instinct of the Republicans was to talk about it as an economic issue affecting jobs. Mm-hmm. All that did was it signaled that you didn't understand the problems with healthcare, right? Because, there were real economic problems and there were ways in which it affected jobs. But it's about actually making sure that you've got healthcare that is of a decent quality that you can afford and that is not going to put your family into bankruptcy. Almost all the bankruptcies that occur in this country now are because of medical debt. And we have real problems with insurance companies that find ways to not pay for things. And, so people know they're paying these hellacious amounts of money for things that they can't actually see, and then they get denied anyway. I mean, it's nuts. And what we are arguing for is bringing markets and control and that freedom and security back to healthcare.
Amen.
Well, and Heather, you're talking about one side of solving the affordability issue. I think the other side is, the income side. If people's incomes are rising or they're keeping more of their paycheck, that's a great way for them to continue to afford not just healthcare and daily expenses, but also saving for the future and being able to invest in their future. What are you looking forward to this year when it comes to the raising the income or the take-home pay side of the equation?
I haven't heard specific plans speaking to that, but that's one of the reasons, obviously, that we're focused on the healthcare fight, because if you can drop costs in healthcare, that has an immediate bottom line to people's, to their well-being and their sense of how much disposable income they have. But there are other things as well that we think could, be very helpful in terms of making life more affordable for people. Patrice, I feel like I'm treading on your territory here.
It was a setup, this question. I could tell.
I know. Well, Patrice, why don't you tell us what would the Center for Economic Opportunity most advocate?
Well, first of all, we want people to keep more of their take-home pay through taxes, and we know that that the tax cuts that are taking place as of right now are going to be a part of that, raising the average family of four take-home by, I guess, about $10,000. When you look at the different tax cuts, the tax credits and savings, and making those things permanent, which is great for businesses to be able to say, okay, I can pass these savings on to my workers through higher pay, through bonuses, through benefits, and then at the state level, we want to see states do the very same thing, cutting income tax rates, and frankly, making sure that if you're getting no taxes on tips, your state is going to honor that too. So I think that might be an area where we need to make sure blue states are going to do the same thing that's happening at the federal level.
What do you think, Heather? How'd she do?
I think she's awesome.
All right.
Are you? I think we need to hire her.
They're going to keep you around for a little while longer, Patrice. Well, Heather Higgins, if I haven't already publicly, thank you for Patrice and for Julie Gunlock. Their voices are so important, and even Carrie Lucas joins us now and again. She was on co-hosting 2 weeks ago.
Thank
so you have an eye for talent over there at Independent Women.
Thank you. We're very, very fortunate, and it's a great shop, and
yes.
We find that a lot of people, we are in the fortunate position of a lot of our people get offered a lot more money to go work elsewhere, and they so love working with us that they turn those things down, or they go experiment and they come back, which is even more reaffirming.
And Heather, here on O'Connor and Company, we respect you and Independent Women so much that the last thing we would do is offer Julie and Patrice a lot of money to be here.
Oh, wait a minute.
Thanks, Heather Higgins. Happy New Year. Good to talk with
pleasure.
you.
Happy New Year to you all.
Happy New Year, Heather.
It's 7:24.
All right. What do Care Bears, Play-Doh, and PJ parties have to do with college? No, seriously, we're not talking about your kindergarten class. We're talking about college students and what's going wrong with them. We'll ask Emily Sturgis about this and more. Stay with us. It's O'Connor and Company at 7:30.
Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It is 7:36. It's O'Connor and Company on the second day of January. It's a Friday in your nation's capital. Thanks for joining us. Back to work, back to normal, or not. A lot of people have today off as well, but we're right here for you. Coming up in 30 minutes, Nick Minock, reporter for ABC 7 WJLA here in town, will take a look back at 2025 and what he expects to cover in the coming months here in the D.C. area in Northern Virginia. It's Larry O'Connor alongside Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Sure,
I already broke my resolution. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're only supposed to say it at the top of the hour. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and then I said it just as I was looking at it. It's 7:30. Bottom.
And now you're doing shots of tequila. There goes the dry January. Unbelievable, Patrice. Joining us right now, speaking of shots of tequila, Emily Sturge covers news and events and culture on college campuses. They still drink on college campuses, don't they? Emily Sturge is a reporter for Campus Reform. Good morning, Emily. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. It's great to be with you guys.
You have a very interesting op-ed here at the Washington Times. It's advising a lot of people, parents of high school seniors and high school seniors themselves are going through the process of college applications right now. And I think that this is sort of a interesting time for colleges, considering what we've seen on campuses over the last couple of years. And what I believe might be sort of a sea change in terms of how parents and students are approaching higher education. Expand on what you said here about the new American dream and college searches.
Absolutely, and thanks so much for having me. So in the springtime, we're going to see many potential college students heading to campuses, taking those tours, and then making some pretty big decisions about where they spend the next 4 years of their life. And it's pretty important that they understand that their American dream actually begins all the way when they're 18 years old with their college search, because tuition, that's one of the biggest expenses that young people face. And where a student chooses to go to college is going to determine both the debt that they take into their adult life and the skills that they take into their adult life. And so I wrote this op-ed to remind young people that it's so important to prioritize two things in their college search. I say that's academics and affordability. And there's actually many schools that have found a way to balance the two. Many Southern public universities come at pretty remarkably affordable tuition rates while also providing rigorous academics.
Mm-hmm. That's really great, because I think families are looking for, and frankly, students are thinking, I want to graduate being best prepared for the future with good job prospects and not having a lot of debt. That said, you also have another piece that caught my attention. We actually teased it at the right before our break. Care Bears, Play-Doh, PJ Party. I thought you were talking about my son's kindergarten class, but you're actually talking about how colleges are helping students cope with exams. I mean, to me, that sounds ridiculous, but I'm sure that also feeds into the affordability issue with college right now. Am I right or wrong here?
Oh, you are absolutely right. And colleges just wrapped up exam season right before the holidays. And at the Leadership Institute Campus Reform, we were reporting these activities taking place on college campuses because they're shocking. Yes, they sound a bit more like a kindergarten classroom than a rigorous academic institution. And just, to get into some of the examples, Indiana University is one of the ones that I highlighted. That university gave students Care Bears and hosted a PJ party ahead of their exams.
Oh my
goodness. There was a community college in Washington. They gave students Play-Doh there. And then at the University of Chicago, Illinois, there was engineering students there, and they were making friendship bracelets and playing with slime. And so none of these childish activities, none of them were preparing students for exams or for the workforce or for life itself. And colleges say that they're doing this to help students cope with exam stress. But I think we all know here that the real stress is going to come when these students can't find jobs after graduation. And that's a pretty stark reality that many young people are facing right now.
Unbelievable. And by the way, Emily, as we're looking at, what you're covering there for campus reform on college campuses and what appears, because so many of these tuitions and so many of these institutions are subsidized with federal dollars. We saw that face-off between the Trump administration and many of these colleges where they say, clean up your act, start enforcing rules, don't allow the mob to take over, otherwise we're going to cut your federal funding. Is that going to have an effect here as colleges reassess, or they just try to wait it out until the next presidential election? Because I bet you the same kind of fraud that we're uncovering with these daycare centers and healthcare providers in Minnesota, I bet it's times 100 on these college campuses the way our money's being wasted.
I can confirm to you that it's times 100 because I've been a reporter for campus reform for 4 years at this point, and the amount of waste, fraud, and abuse that we have uncovered on America's college campuses is exceptional. Yes, within the past year of the Trump administration, we have seen massive reforms to the higher education system because the administration threatened to withhold federal funding from schools, and it forced many schools to clean up their act. Of course, I'm talking about schools like Columbia or Yale or Harvard that allowed violent anti-Semitism to overtake their campuses. As soon as they saw a threat to their federal funding, some of these schools actually did end up creating agreements with the administration, cleaning up their act and putting students first. And that's what the Trump administration has been all about, is enforcing federal law. The president has not created any Republican legislation to boss around these schools. No, that's not what's happening. The president is enforcing Title IX, Title VI, the Civil Rights Act of 1942, legislation that is put in place to protect students. And we've seen real changes on our campuses when it comes to safety, when it comes to taking men out of women's sports, but then also things like taking discrimination out of admissions. That's another executive action that the administration rolled out this past year. is requiring colleges to report data to prove that they're not judging students based just on race and sex, and that they're judging a student based also on what they bring to the university, their academic abilities, bringing in the best and the brightest students. So, yes, within the past year, we've seen so many positive reforms to this system, and one of the ways that the administration was able to accomplish that was with those freezes to federal funding.
Emily Sturge, good stuff from Campus Reform.
Yeah,
Don't be
excellent.
a stranger. You're doing a great job when you show up on Newsmax there on the Right Squad with Chris Plant. Don't let Matt Foldy bully you, okay? He's a pussycat.
Well, he is the best, and thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
He's good. Is he
Thanks,
the
Emily.
best? Matt Foldy's the best? The best?
He's fun. He's fun.
All right, Emily. Happy New Year to
He's
you.
lots of fun. Happy New Year.
It's 7:43. Patrice Onwuka, you cannot make this up. If I had made this up and written it up as a satire piece, you would say, "Oh, sorry, Larry, that's just too unbelievable. That's outrageous." The incoming UN Security Council president, you know, that rotates the Security Council. You got your 5 permanent seats, right? England, France, U.S., Russia, and China, right?
Yes.
And then the other seats all rotate, and whoever happens to be the president of the Security Council also rotates. This year, the president will be the UN ambassador from Somalia.
Oh, okay.
Amazing timing, isn't it?
Interesting timing, yes.
Yeah. Not only is there obviously ongoing strife going on in Somalia, and now you've got the breakaway Republic of Somaliland in the northwest quadrant there of the Horn of Africa that has now broken away, declared themselves independent, and the State of Israel has recognized them. There's pressure on the Trump administration to do the same. But also, of course, here in the United States, we have our own domestic fraud scandals going on with the Somali refugees that came here seeking asylum, set up shop, and now apparently is robbing the American taxpayer blind to the tune of several billions of dollars under the guise of daycare centers and healthcare centers. I think I've summarized it appropriately. Yes, so the UN ambassador from Somalia will now be the president of the UN Security Council, but that's not the only thing he's president of.
I mean, yeah, that's not a big deal, right?
I mean, it raises some eyebrows, but this should raise every element of your body. The UN ambassador from Somalia is also the president and CEO of a home health care company in Ohio.
Oh, no.
He's in on the scam.
Yikes.
Explain this to me. So you're a Somali national, you're a diplomat, you're the ambassador to the United Nations, and somehow you find yourself as the president and CEO of a home health care company in Ohio, the same kind of home health care company that has been defrauding the American people of billions of dollars.
What
are the odds?
Make this stuff up.
You literally
I think
cannot.
he's also a daycare administrator, so is he double dipping here?
Yes, yes.
Or triple
he runs
dipping?
a daycare
I've lost.
and a home health care company. It's and by the way, the Minister of Foreign Affairs owns a home health care company in Ohio, and there's 2 other health care companies in the same suite as his, and multiple others use the same address with other Somali owners, all in Ohio. By the way, Governor DeWine the other day put out a statement that says, yeah, we know there's fraud, but it's the cost of doing business. This isn't a business. The government's not in business funding these things.
This is so sickening, Larry. These people are in power making foreign policy decisions on, and here they are scamming the United States to support their luxury lifestyles.
It's stealing our money. They're stealing our money.
Stealing our money.
Yes.
Stealing our money. Oh my gosh. Well, if there's something to be said about African nations, you know, I think it's going to shift a lot of attention from who people tend to think are scammers and where the real scammers are. Boy, oh boy, I think we need to look at every single Somali community. I don't know.
You think?
I really think across every state. I don't know. I just have a feeling about it, and maybe I'm profiling, but I'm a naturalized citizen, and in my community, we're not doing this thing. So there's something about what's going on in the Somali community.
Yeah, I think that's an understatement. And there's something going on with the Somali government involved in all of this.
Well, obviously, they're happy for the remittances.
Yeah, exactly. All right. It's
boy.
7:53. Coming up, we take a look back at some of the biggest stories of 2025 in this area with the reporter who covered them, Nick Minot, WJLA, and also what's on his radar coming up in 2026. There's a lot to discuss. Keep it here. It's O'Connor and Company, the second day of January 2026.